Delegate Chisholm and Delegate Bagnall will get back to you after we do judiciary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Madam Chair, I'm going to go ahead and assume that there was some sort of a friendly coin toss between you and the chairman of the judiciary over the temperature of this room. And I'm further going to assume that you lost after having the pleasure of serving on HGO with you. Thank you very much for your testimony. I know this is a deeply emotional subject matter, and I know you come with great compassion. One of the things that I'd like to ask is more towards the physician, or anyone can actually answer it. So am I to assume that the majority of these people are in some sort of chronic pain?
So the people who are choosing this option are suffering. And that suffering is defined in lots of different ways. But yes, they are suffering at the end of life with a terminal prognosis of 6 months or less to live.
Okay, because Bill says in one of the guidelines, has the capacity to make medical decisions. And I just have this really cool app on my phone called Google, and I looked up chronic pain, and it says chronic pain has a profound effect on the brain. Our brain is the hub of our nervous system made up of 100 billion nerve cells. In fact, multiple research studies have confirmed that chronic pain does not affect a singular region of the brain. Instead, it results in many areas and affecting decision making. So with that being said, my concern is, and how do we square this with, it wouldn't take the medical field, and I'm not pointing fingers at them, but to get to the point where they can point to this and say, well, they don't have the mental capacity because they're in chronic pain. So us, the physician, can start to make the decision. So it takes it away from that actual person we're looking to help. That's my upfront concern as far as the root of the problem, because I think the majority of these people are not going to be able to make a solid decision with mental capacity if they are in chronic pain. And like I said, I'm going to assume, maybe I'm wrong, that most of these people are in chronic pain.
So what I would say a few things is that what mental capacity means is that you understand the ramifications of the decision you're making. So does the person understand if they take this medication that they will end up dying? And, are they making the decision fully informed? The people that we're talking about are terminally ill with a prognosis of 6 months or less to live. They're very clear that they're going to die. The question is, how much should we force them to suffer? So the ability to make a decision, regardless of how much pain they're in, I actually think it's a reasonable conclusion that somebody who is suffering that level of pain, who knows they're going to die in the short term, can make the decision that they don't want to continue suffering.
I just will end with, I think that we make a lot of rash and bad decisions sometimes when we're in pain, because all of us have gone through that. And I just don't want this to turn into the physicians are deciding who's living or dying.
Could I just say that if that's the case, then the patient is not a candidate, because the patient has to make the decision as stipulated in the bill.
I thought you just said earlier, if they couldn't make a mental capacity decision, then it could go to a physician.
If the patient does not have the mental capacity to make a medical decision, they are not a candidate for this process.
So based on this chronic pain definition, there's nobody's able to make this decision.
I would say of the patients I ever treated, a small minority have such pain that they do not have mental capacity.
So none of them have chronic pain based on this definition.
They still meet the definition of having mental capacity.
Thank you very much.
If I might respond, I can assure you that the pain my husband was suffering was not chronic pain. It was severe pain, immobilizing every single move he made. But he was a brilliant attorney. He was the first general counsel to the office of the special trade representative under the Kennedy and Johnson administrations. He kept that brilliant mind until he began his last journey.
Well, thank you, and God bless you. I'm sorry for your pain and what you went through.
Thank you.
I'm sure your husband was an incredible man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said something that, and this is directed to the doctor, that kind of put me back in my chair. I am, at 9 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I've been on the Medtronic insulin pump for 17 years. I rely on it. It's my lifesaver. In your medical opinion, to what you were just alluding to, if I were not able to get health insurance and was low income and could not afford the insulin, in the medical community, would that be considered terminally ill possibly?
In the medical community, definitely not. You know, our job would be to say, insulin, let me find a source for you. We're going to work that out. We're going to do whatever it takes to keep you healthy and alive. Under this bill, it might be different. Because if you're not taking your medication and you will die without that medication, then by that definition, you could be considered terminally ill.
Because that's my concern is, as any diabetic will tell you as a type 1, it's a very expensive disease, and it can be costly to an insurance company and to individuals. So I worry about the definition of terminally ill. Thank you for your opinion. Thank you